I suppose I just want to start with Norwich. You're visiting Norwich again. You've been here a few times. It's a UNESCO City of Literature and has been now since 2012. What do you like about Norwich? What do you think is special about the city?
It's not cold.
It's not Toronto in winter.
Yes, okay, so yes, that's a silly answer. There's lots of places that aren't cold, but they aren't Norwich.
This is true.
So it's very manageable as a city. It does have a lot of books in it, and it does have, of course, the first creative writing department in England. And I knew that department when we lived in Blakeney in 1984, the year that I started the Handmaid's Tale, although I didn't start it in Norfolk.
Mm-hmm.
I was writing another novel that I threw out. But right after that.
And was that when Angela Carter was teaching at the
I don't
University
think
of East
she was
Anglia?
teaching quite then, but I did know her
Yes.
through other connections. So she was one of the first, I think, and Malcolm Bradbury I did know. But then, of course, I got invited to be the UNESCO's
UNESCO visiting professor.
Visiting professor, and so that's been quite successful. But it's a very good place to write because it's far enough away from London that you don't get really distracted.
I think that we feel that you're right, it's far enough away to have Norwich has its own centre of gravity. And
yes, I think if you're too close to London, those places don't do those kinds of events because people go into London for them.
And do you get a sense of the city's heritage in your visits?
You can't avoid it, can you?
It's quite visible in terms of
Yes.
the street presence of the
Yes,
buildings.
no, everywhere you go there's a plaque saying who got burned at the stake.
There's a lot of
Actually,
that happen.
yes, not many did. Not as many as other places.
What we're trying to... I think one of the reasons why Writers' Centre came to Dragon Hall, apart from the space, is the fact that it's a place full of stories, and it feels like it's a very suitable place for writers to come and be together. Do you think there's a value in spaces for writers, even though writers do need solitude?
I think people like to know that there are other people doing it. So I think there is quite a lot of it going on now, writing and encouragement of writing. But I think they also, sometimes other beginning writers will be the first readers of people in that age group. But also it's just it's good for them to know that it's something you can do and that there are tips that can be, they won't make you into a writer, but they will give you some shortcuts so that you don't have to learn by doing every single thing. I came in here and the other day, and they were getting a class on how to read your work out loud. And I can think of many people for whom that would have been quite useful in the past.
Yeah, it's one of those opportunities we give to writers that we kind of think, should we do it again? We do it every year. And when we ask them to say yes, we really want to do that. It's been incredibly useful to us. So it's those basic things.
Yes, of course, a lot of writers are quite solitary, so they have stage fright. And I think in these days, when you're expected to go around and present your work in things like bookstore launches and events, some people are not temperamentally suited to that, and it can be quite frightening for them.
Yes, I think there's a real kind of case to be made for the craft of being an author as well as being a writer.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want it to get too streamlined and cookie cutter, but it might avoid some episodes of people being sick.
Which is never salutary for anyone. The National Centre for Writing at Dragon Hall occupies a place which was kind of a commercial point of exchange for hundreds of years, and one of the things we want to do is to be able to welcome writers from all over the world and send our writers all over the world to exchange those stories. Is there, what's your view of the value of that, of the value of exchange and sharing, particularly in our current world, which seems to be particularly sort of angst-ridden and full of conflict at the moment?
Well, from the point of view of which ancient god is the patron god of writing, there are two of them. One of them is Apollo.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're interested in form, structure, symmetry, beauty, that end of writing, he's your god. So maybe you might be pouring a libation to him when you're crafting your work. But the other one is Hermes. And what is Hermes the god of? If you're looking for an idea, he's your guy. If you're blocked, he's the one. Hermes is the opener of doors. He's also the god of communication, which is why he used to be on the telephone books with a coil of telephone wire wrapped modestly around him. He's the messenger. He's also the god of thieves, jokes, exchanges of all kind, and travel. And he's the conductor of souls to the underworld. And of all of the gods, he is the one who can go and come back from the underworld, which is very, very useful to have if you're a writer. So it will be Hermes presiding over Dragon Hall as the god of exchanges and communication.
And jokes,
and stories,
possibly.
Of course, travel.
Yeah.
Stories travel all around the world. If you look at the history of the 1001 Nights and One Night, some of those stories are very, 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 very old, and they come from many different places. So stories are always moving. If they don't move, and if they don't change, it's like every other living thing, they will die.
And that's one of the things that we can provide a space for, I hope, here, some of that kind of exchange, the smuggling across the borders of
Jokes
stories.
and thievery.
Jokes and thievery mainly, but also messages from the other worlds. We've been really delighted that you've acted as a patron for the National Centre for Writing. Can you tell us sort of how you hope we might be able to benefit writers?
Everybody's life as a writer is a magpie life, so you can spread all of these goodies out in front of them, but only this thing will be useful to that particular writer. So I think your job is to have a range of offerings, and some people will benefit from some of them, and others from others, depending on what stage they are in their writing life and who they are as an individual writer. And not everybody is gregarious as a writer. Some people don't want to come and sit in a group. They want to go and live in a garret and drink absinthe.
For you and your writing career, it's been an amazing sort of few years in terms of how the stories that you've brought back and sent out into the world have travelled across TV and film and graphic novels and other forms. What's your sort of next project, do you think? Or
My
where's your
next project?
Which message are you shooting off next?
Well, I would never tell you, would I? Yes.
Foiled.
I'm working on a book. But of course, what does that mean? It means exactly what everybody else means when they say that.
Yeah.
Which is, who knows? So will it work out? Will it not? We never actually know until it's done.
Like the book that you didn't write in Blakeney.
I wrote enough of it to know that this was not going to happen.
And do you keep or do you destroy?
If there's something that can be salvaged, I think I got a couple of short stories out of that one. But an earlier one that I was writing away at, I think I salvaged one sentence.
That's an equation to be reckoned with.
Yeah, sometimes things just don't work.
Yeah. And with what's happened with kind of The Handmaid's Tale and Alias Grace, how has it felt to see your work go across those
Well,
different
it's been a
platforms?
very strange series of coincidences because people were looking at making Handmaid's Tale earlier, but they couldn't figure out who actually owned the rights. So that when it all came together, It was before Trump was even in the running, so none of that was on the map. But a team assembled that made it work. So similarly, Alias Grace had been in the works for quite some time, but had got delayed for various reasons. It was originally going to be a feature film, and then Sarah Polley decided no, it should be a TV miniseries. The new platform that has come into existence, which is this series web streaming, has made it possible for a lot of novels that otherwise would not be filmed to have a way of being that's long enough for them. Often with a novel, you get the feeling that it's just been squished. So if you go look at old films of, for instance, Great Expectations, you're just getting references. You're getting references for people who've actually read the book.
Yeah.
But something that has a number of episodes is long enough for a complex novel. So that's been very, and that just happened. You know, it just happened in the past 5 years. So it wouldn't have been possible before.
Yeah. How has it changed, do you think, your relationship to your readers and the wider world, that platform?
Oh, no doubt. But with a book and also with the television series, the primary relationship is to the book or the television series. So the author is just a kind of a husk. You know, you're the person who did that once, and here you still are. Isn't it amazing? You're still alive. So yes, but they're not looking to me as the primary thing. It's the book or their involvement with the series, or both.
And does that help you, do you think, remembering that when you have to deal with the kind of the world outside, having an opinion about the book or the TV series? Does it give you a bit of distance? In a way, it doesn't. Once you've written and published a book, it's not yours anymore. It belongs to the readers. And in the case of the television series, they've created a new thing. So a lot of people are going to be asking the actors, which they have, you know, what was it like to play so and so? And there's been a lot of that kind of publicity. But the writer is not anymore the primary focus once it goes out there. I get a certain amount of how did you know, but of course I didn't. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
It's a real pleasure to welcome you again, and thank you for making the time to come and talk to us.
Always a pleasure.